down on you about working to get free food stamps. But now they're like, no, like if your kid is 2 or 3 years old, you can take your ass to work, honey. I know it's hard. It's hard. But at the end of the day, on the other side, where the rubber meets the road is, I think a lot of times people think, well, on the other side of that, people are rich. No, there are middle-class families that are living check to check, busting their ass, and they don't qualify for that. Like myself, you know, going to the store, spending cash for groceries is just what I gotta do. If I gotta get out there sometime and get a part-time job, I got a daughter in college, I will do it. You know, I'm divorced now, but it's just disheartening when it's like people can just ride, and I get it. I'm not, and I hate to people try to break it down. Well, oh, white, black, who's getting more food stamps? It doesn't matter. Whoever it is, sometimes people do take advantage of this stuff. But I'm busting my ass, getting up, going to work every day, getting a part-time job, neglecting being at home with my kids, neglecting my family work balance. And you're sitting at home smoking. I'm not saying everybody. This could go for black or white or any ethnicity or race. You're sitting at home making more babies, smoking weed, just fucking chilling. That kind of pisses me off sometimes. So I don't think that they should end these social programs. No, because there are people that have to utilize them as stepping stones. I have. But are there people that's abusing and being wasteful? Yes. And I think people forget about that. I'm done.
Thank you. Peace. Hold on, Steve. Steve, before I go to you, I'm going to go to Pool C because he's been here forever and he won't shut up. And then I'll come to you, I promise. Pool C, you got 30 seconds to ask your question to Miss Ash, and then I'm throwing you out if you get out of them.
My question to Miss Ash was, basically, I know the program she's talking about, and I understand that. Now, New York was famous for this when they gave the legal immigrants the $10,000 for food. What about that actually going to American citizens? That program that they did, or those used, and the Medicaid they got, that could have been used for your students, for your things. And that's what I was getting at. And like the $80 billion in California, why can't they take care of the forest or have their own forest fire, fight their own forest fires better? Or the train line they were supposed to build above the sky or wherever it was, that $190 billion, where did that money go? The misuse of funds there. That's what I was getting at is, if you're going to take care of kids, why not? Why are we giving it to foreigners who come in here illegally?
Great
and that
question.
Money could be used for the students and could be feeding the students. Instead of $6 a day, they could get 12.
Oh my gosh, I love that question. Before we were giving immigrants $10,000 or Medicaid, which I don't think they were getting Medicaid, they just get emergency care. And then again, the hospital has to cover it because they can't receive Medicare. But before we were giving that, let's say it is $10,000, why aren't we giving that to the students beforehand? Why are we freezing money for their breakfast program right now? And why are you worried about California's forests when most of the red states in this country can't foot the bill, so the blue state of California is paying? And how do you know they're not doing what they need to do to take care of it? Are you a citizen there? Are you on the board there? Do you have the documentation to go ahead and show me? Because I worked during Hurricane Sandy, and I will tell you, nearly 8 years later, we still weren't completely rebuilt. So Rome wasn't built in a day, and I'll tell you that the state of New Jersey is a hell of a lot smaller than that area, and what was hit by Hurricane Sandy was a hell of a lot smaller, and let me tell you why. Why weren't we there 8 years later? Because FEMA is so underfunded, and what did we just do? We gave it a $0 budget. So if our government programs, again, if we're so worried about that 10 grand going, let's say it is 10 grand, I don't know what it is, so I can't speak to that. In New York, going to immigrant, why are we worried about the fact that no money was given to FEMA before we gave them 10 grand? And why aren't we questioning why it took 8 years? It's still being rebuilt, actually, in a state that does have property taxes, that is footing the bill for that. That in fact, I had no trouble getting funding from the state, but had issue dealing with FEMA during that time. So my question to you is, why are we only worried about the kids when it comes to books right? Like bad books. Why are we only worried about the kids when it comes to other people getting money other than the kids, but then we still don't give the kids money, right? Like why is that when we worry? Why isn't it when these kids are sitting in school now and because that $8 billion or whatever it is frozen, the kids in my state don't have their breakfast program at their school? Why are we worried
And that's
now?
fucked up.
I agree.
That's
I
fucked
agree.
up.
I agree. I live in Pennsylvania, right next door to you. If you're in New Jersey, I understand some of the things. There are still, if kids are on SNAP or food stamps, at least in Pennsylvania, some of them still qualify for the free breakfast, depending on the district.
But what about the middle class families?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Some of those still qualify.
Like some of those parents might not have bacon and eggs and biscuits in the morning. It's like, are you getting cereal or an apple? And we all know that those kids are still going to be hungry. But then when they get there, and my daughter's even telling me this, she's eating off the plate. They're eating off each other's plate in the morning time in the cafeteria breakfast because they've already started cracking down. Oh, you don't qualify. You can't get breakfast. All those kids should be able to get a hot free breakfast, not just an apple out the door.
I agree, but that's why some of this was moved back to the state itself. If like California has that $80 billion budget, why aren't they feeding their own kids?
But how do you know they're not?
I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying if these states that are having these surpluses of budgets, like marijuana in Pennsylvania right now, they're trying to legalize marijuana to get rid of, to help use that tax money for schools, for other things the government in Pennsylvania might be able to use it and utilize it for. So right now, that's part of these things that are going on, and which is important for younger program, younger kids, for families in need. That's what some of these benefits are. Like the lottery system, supposedly you get a rent rebate check if you're old enough in Pennsylvania and you qualify for it. So
could I get in here real quick?
These things are important to the community.
Hey.
And if we continue to give it to illegals or people who aren't here, like...
Yeah, Ash.
I hate that word illegal so much. I just hate that. I do. So here's the thing is like if you do a quick Google search and you could do it, maybe just go on like the California Department of Education's website and see if they offer free breakfast and lunch to any kid of any income. Just do a quick search of that. I'm sure that you'll find many of the blue states do. And in fact, a lot of counties, even in a state like North Carolina, that's pretty mixed. I even believe that they just started it. And the only reason I know that is because my brother likes to call school districts and pay off lunch outstanding bills for families who can't afford to, and that's his contribution because he does not have children in the area.
And do you know
so that's
if your kid, not to cut out, if your kid has a bill with the cafeteria, they won't even mail their report card home.
That's correct.
You got a bill.
That's crazy.
Could I get in here real quick?
Steve.
Just hang tight 1 second. Let JB finish. Just don't want to.
No. Well, the thing is, Steve is I consider him a friend. He's also a politician, and I'm not doxing him. In one of the poorest states in America, so his perspective is just going to be different, I think, than some other people. Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead.
Yeah, before what I had to say initially got twisted in something I wasn't trying to say. I wasn't trying to expound on the virtues of the military. And this is for someone and people that's never had to sit in a budget meeting where you got to take numbers and you got to make hard choices. And people can get on an app like this, say, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I got people come up to me all the time as the city councilman telling me what I can and can't do. And they have no idea about what kind of money there is to do it. My point initially, and I stand on this point, it wasn't about whether we had the best military. My point was this. If you're going to make decisions, there's going to be X number of dollars. Anyone that's ever had to sit in on a budget meeting knows this. You got X number of dollars you can do A, B, and C with. You got to make hard choices. And before you make hard choices, you got to get a consensus as a country, what we're going to do. I'm not advocating cutting people off of Medicare. That's not the issue. What I'm trying to point out to you is this, and this is lost in the conversation all the time because people don't have to deal with this. They think Santa Claus is in the federal government. They think there's a printing press up there that can supply all of their needs. That's unrealistic. Here's the fact of the matter is, any decision you make in a budget, whether you want to supply Medicaid, you want to supply free lunch programs, you got to consider what the pros and cons of everything is. And you got to make hard choices. It's easy to get on here and go virtuous about all this stuff. It's not so easy when you got to sit down and you got to look at the hard numbers. I got places in my town right now that needs street repair. We have a sewage problem from dilapidated sewers. Well, you let the sewer run in the street or you patch the hole. These are questions people that have to deal with this stuff face all the time. They can't get on here and just say, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That's cool, because you're not dealing with the reality of what is actually involved in actually solving problems. My point is this: if you want these programs, understand this. The federal government takes money from the economy. If you're cool with that, that's okay, because it's going to extract money for entrepreneurs. If you want less economic activity and you want more social, fine, make that decision.
Yeah,
but understand. Well, no, hold on. Let me finish here.
Steve.
I'm thinking about everything. What I'm trying to tell you is in everything. When you're responsible running the budget, like say I'm sitting in a situation right now, we have a sewer problem. We got potholes that need to be filled. There's decisions, tough decisions people have to make all the time.
Steve, hold on. Bro.
Well, listen, what do you mean, hold on?
Hold on,
that is
man.
not more important than a child being hungry.
No, you're not. You're missing my point. You're missing my point.
Let me just say this, Steve. The federal government made a decision to cut programs and empower other programs like ICE, right? Border security. Now, border security I'm with, but all that money going to ICE, that can go to kids? Come on now.
Well, let me ask you this, JB. Let me ask you this.
Yeah, all that food going
People
waste and the farm.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this point right here. We had estimates between 15 million people came in this country during the Biden administration. Well, they just going to walk out on their own? Or do you have to have some kind of mechanism to facilitate that? These are hard choices that people have to make. And people will get on this app, they will talk pie in the sky, and never had to sit at a budget meeting and make tough choices.
So Steve.
Here's the thing. If you want a certain thing, no.
Yes, this is like having one of my students. Hang tight there, Steve. To say I've never sat in a budget meeting, that's wild. But I mean, maybe people haven't sat in budget meetings. Maybe people don't even know how to budget for themselves. I don't know. If you've ever done a budget, you have an idea of, well, this is what you got to cut. This is what you got to keep. These are the consequences. But to compare feeding children to a pothole and tell me I'm righteous because I'm more concerned about that generation that's going to end up using that road. It's not. You literally just sat here and told me my righteous belief getting on here, like my 20 years of education and seeing what your decisions have made me do, not yours personally, but yours, the government, have moved my job from now making sure that I will take a bullet for every one of my students. Don't tell me I don't understand what your decisions mean. This government is more willing to put in, to spend money on metal detectors, force kids to wear clear backpacks than they actually are to do something about the problem. So don't tell me I don't understand budgets and what things have to go through. You just sat here and debated a damn pothole with me, and I'm sorry about your town sewer system, but maybe there should be a budget regarding that, and people shouldn't be complaining that their taxes go there. Look at what happened in Texas. Just because it was Biden or Obama looking to give them money for a siren, they had to cut their nose to spite their face and not have a siren. But they gave it to some.
Actually, that's a little different. I
Marshall, let her land. Please.
Marshall, you can correct me after. My point is, you can't come up here and tell me I'm sitting here being righteous when I've seen the consequences of your decision on a budget. And yet, no matter how many times we talk about this budget, it's always the schools, it's always the children, it's always those moms, that are utilizing SNAP. It's those single moms that are the problem. The single moms are always the problem. The single moms, they're utilizing this. Like, have you ever been a single mom? You can't tell me that you know what it's like unless you've been a single mom, right? Because that's what you told me. I don't know what it's like unless I sat in a budget. But do you know how expensive daycare is? And do you know that how little you get paid at Walmart? Like, if that's where you're working, or how little you even get paid as a receptionist, or maybe you're a dental hygienist. Do you know how expensive a child is? Like, for you to sit here and just say, like, I don't know budgets.
Here, don't forget about us single dads, Ashley. We go through it too.
Can I just interject something real quick, Ashley?
Yeah, Steve, go ahead.
Because the only reason I said anything about a pothole or a sewer was not to compare it with kid. That's being disingenuous. What I was saying is, in every budget, and you have to decide. I'm not saying that your points aren't valid, but what I'm trying to tell you, you have a bucket full of money. You take it from one pot and put it into the other, there's going to be consequences. And you have to be willing to elaborate that to the general public. We made this decision because of this. Now, if it's something that you can get through, fine. But we live in a constitutional republic. We have elections. The elections have consequences. And if this is something that's important, and I believe it is, then you have to change the Congress. And when the new Congress gets in, they're going to face the same thing. In every budget, there's a trade-off, and you got to be willing to understand what that trade-off. That's my only point.
I get it, and
Hold on.
I appreciate.
Let me just say this, it's okay. Stephen 420, I need you to just stand down.
Sorry, brother. Sorry, it's Friday. I apologize.
I got you. No, I got you. You're gonna get in the conversation after Ash says what she has to say. I want to do a quick room reset.
I totally get you, Steve, and I hear that there always has to be consequences, but nobody's ever scared to say the consequences when the consequences are giving billionaires tax breaks, taking money from Medicaid, cutting off people from SNAP, right? Those are never things anybody's scared to say. They're never scared to say that they're removing breakfast. I mean, they just tell you, like, this president isn't scared to say anything. He literally just said that he bought 2 Congress people pretty much, right? And he pretty much, whatever else he's done, he's not scared to say it. So there's no explaining to other people. We're just being told. Because if you think that majority of the country actually wants what is happening down to Medicaid, SNAP, down to the education programs, for the Grad Plus loan, for the cap on federal loans for college, for what's happening in women's health right now, stopping research and science funding, because that's wild to me. That is wild to me. Like, that nobody's afraid to say those consequences. But I'll be damned if people are afraid to say, we're not giving the billionaires their tax break this year.
All right, guys, let me do a quick room. There's an answer. Steve, please let me run my room. I'm going to do a quick room reset, and then you could be the first speaker after the reset. And I also want to get Stephen 420, John, and Abby the conversation. Guys, this is Healthy Debates. Just because you have a voice doesn't mean you should use it. This title came to mind when idiots like Cool C come to my stage. That's why I thought of this title. Let me say hello to Rosalind, Brian, Jennifer, Matt Cool in the house. Elle, how you doing? Guys, you have a pink ticket, cash it in. We're having a spirited debate about kids not being fed, school cut budgets, and all that other stuff. So, guys, I'm going to just say this. Please be respectful to each other. Actually, I'm just going to say this. Okay, goodbye, John. You hear me talking, but you just thought it was more important for you to jump in. So, actually, I'm going to say this. You're my friend. I love you like a fat kid loves cake. Steve's a good guy, and he's not MAGA. I can promise you that.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I just get, I'm just
listen, I've never heard you like this, so I'm okay with it. I love it, as a matter of fact. I'll let you run the room. But let's go to Steve. You got 30 seconds to respond, and then we're going to Stephen 420, and then I want to go to Abby.
Jay, stick
please.
Thanks.
Got you, Marshall.
Yeah, I'm not advocating one way or the other. What I'm telling you is that there's a bucket of money. As Americans, we got to decide, and that decision is made through the election process, how we allocate that money. It's not I'm for or against any particular thing, even though I have my proclivity to things. But that's a mechanism. And if people are dissatisfied with what Donald Trump is doing now, guess what? There's a solution in 2 years. And that solution is the Congress. Change it and then get what you want.
Thank you, Steve. Ashley, you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say I just appreciate the debate, the back and forth.
Well,
Ashley.
Abby, hold on 1 second, please. Like I said, you're both really good people. You come from different, I think, ends of the political spectrum. But thank you for the dialogue. Hello, Counselor.
Hi, I just came in quickly. I heard a little bit of what you were saying. I would take issue with when these funds go to these universities, that the funds are actually allocated for the research and the medical research and the essential research, as opposed to departments that have gotten infiltrated and have gone totally into a political direction that a lot of people are concerned with. If 100% of the money was going into cancer research or research in a particular medical area, but sometimes these funds blanket go into the university, and when they go into the university, there is not a control as to how it's allocated. And I think maybe something that might be a resolution is the direct earmarking and accountability, that it in fact is going into the science department, into the labs, as opposed to general university funds. I've heard that criticism, so I want to raise that to you.
Can I?
And how your thoughts are.
Hold on, Hinda, hold on a second. I'm going to come back to you, I promise.
Can I
Ash, did you want to respond? Hinda, I'm going to get you in the queue, I promise. Give me a second. But I'm going to give Miss Ash a chance to push back, and then I want to welcome Steven, and then Steve and Marshall.
Yeah, Abby, it's good to see you. I don't know that I've seen you since quite a few months now. With regards to the research program, that's not something I've heard of. I know in my field now, or what I'm studying, this has been a really big talk. Years of research being halted, and some things you can't get back once they are halted, right? Years of studying certain patients, certain things over time, and whether the point you're making is true or not, which I'm going to assume it is. You're quite an intelligent woman, but I don't have the background on that. The point is, you can't get that research back, so it's almost. I don't want to say cutting off your nose to spite your face. That's not the term that I'm looking for. But it causes a huge detriment to years and years and years of research already done. Just a recent study that I was reading actually went over 25 years. So imagine if that program was halted at any point, the detriment it would have done to what it actually found. So I think that's a big concern. And like I said, I'm not arguing back, because I don't have too much knowledge into that, so I can't really debate on that.
No, I appreciate that. I think it's. I think it's something that has to be discovered, but that's the criticism that I heard, that it's blanket money that gets allocated, not necessarily for what the intent is. The other point, sorry, it's noisy where I am. The other point that you might want to look at is some of holding off of this funding. May end up allocating money to universities that were underfunded with respect to research. So what's the harm if, and I'll just throw this out, what's the harm if Penn gets less, but Penn State gets more? What if money starts going to state schools or into schools that maybe didn't get allocations before for research, and that it boosts up universities that are also complying with protecting the students on campus and not letting the university run wild and not focusing on the codes of conduct of the universities? What if the fallout is actually funding those universities that make it safe for students. So that's just another thing I wanted to throw out there.
I mean, I think it would be great if all universities could get funded, but it would be really difficult to stop, one thing happening again, like thinking of the long term and what's already happening, and especially in places, and I'm only going to say this because I'm a woman, but with respect to women's reproductive health research, those things don't come up as, they're not as occurring as frequently in many universities all over, right? And some of those areas, like you said, they don't have the funding for it, but it's not worth it to halt where it is starting, in my opinion, after years and years of research. And I say my opinion because it is my opinion. There's no facts to this, so don't come at me. But I just don't think that justifies cutting off the research that's currently there, that people are benefiting from, that they're currently receiving treatments at. I've been involved in studies at the University of Pennsylvania. The one went the entire duration. I was there over years. So I do know how vital that information is, or how vital it is that the people receive those medications because they had already started it. So that's kind of where I take issue with this, is that, universities ask so much tuition of us to begin with. And if this is going for research funding, of course I want it to be investigated, whether it's going there properly, making sure that they're following the rules, everything else. But I don't think it's worth stopping those treatments from people who are currently receiving it, stopping those grad students who are currently maybe they're in a medical study that have been working for this doctorate. For me, that's just, in my opinion, it's not worth halting that.
But Ashley, it's under the can I make one last comment, because I got to run. But I just wanted to, because this is one of the few times we've actually had civil dialogue, huh, JB? At some point. But if it's under the umbrella of an institution that fell short complying with proper legal standards and also with protecting its students, but it's under the umbrella of that university, there's got to be a point where you have to make the accountability there. To the same extent that we can, if we fund a nation that the nation is running hog wild, we have to pull in, even though, let's say, funding of that nation may be feeding people or doing something helpful to that nation, but if the nation is, in fact, doing something that is harmful to the world, you have to have some ability to pull in your purse strings
Abby,
to maintain it. So I guess my point, and by the way, and I brought up Penn because I'm real familiar with what they do, like on the aging center and the Alzheimer's research. I mean, like, I'm just throw that one out. It's really important. But Penn had some accountability. Penn did some bad things, and they had to control that campus and control their own administration to stay within they were crossing the line. So and I use that by example because it's a university I'm familiar with. So that's my argument.
Before you leave, I just want to give you a little context on what started this conversation. And it's just my opinion, right? Certain programs are overfunded. ICE didn't need all the money that they're going to get. In that big, beautiful bill, they didn't need all that money. They're taking some of that money, kept some programs open to feed kids in schools. And that's where Miss Ash is coming from, because she's a teacher. And she sees these kids going hungry. So do you disagree that some of these programs are overfunded like ICE? And some of these programs are getting underfunded? Because it doesn't matter to Donald Trump, and that's just my opinion.
And then maybe because my kids go to a public school, my daughter's telling me, this is anecdotal. I don't know how much weight it holds, but she's like, yeah, they're already like kids are eating off. How embarrassing is that? You're in line, you got 80 kids behind you, and you get up to the lunch lady and they type in your student ID number and they say, oh, you can't get breakfast this morning. So you're walking out back into the cafeteria, everybody's eating pancakes, and you don't got a fucking tray. Can I speak?
Well, hold on, Hinda. I'm going to get to it, I promise. But I got to say hello to Marshall and Uncle Steve real quick, because they've been on stage, and I have to get Steven in the conversation. Marshall, Steve, how you guys doing?
I had a migraine earlier today, but it's gone, and I'm doing better. So how are you, Jay?
I'm doing great. Do you want to chime in?
Yeah. I tend to agree with Steve. I think budget meetings are hard, and there are a lot of hard choices to make. I think one of the things that was skipped when he was talking was his comparison about sewers. In his city, they're arguing between whether they need to fill potholes or fill sewers. You gotta take a choice. I pick sewers, but some people may pick potholes. The other piece I wanted to say, after this is just for what it's worth, with some friends in Kerr County, Kerrville, near Kerr County, and the river for them rose 26 feet in 45 minutes. That equated, an hour and a half equated to 62 feet. By the time you're at 45 feet, people are already blocked off from the highway. So it was a combination of act of God and sirens. The warnings went off at 1 p.m. and 2 a.m., which I'm sure you would agree with me. 2 a.m. is far too late for camp counselors at Mystic and Longhorn to get their kids together. So there needed to be an early alarm. I just wanted to interject that there really genuinely was an act of God piece of this.
Wait, Marshall. Hold on. I don't want to compare overfunding ICE to kids getting school breakfast and lunch. Hold on. That's not the same thing as sewers and potholes. So you got to go with the kids every day. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not saying you don't. I was more noting that when budgetary matters are given, there are decisions like that are made. Not to say that we should be picking sewers over giving school kids
Marshall,
proper.
there is no choice, bro. See, listen, let me just say this. Hold on, let me just say this. I'm a father. Now, my kids are grown, but my grandkids aren't. They don't take school lunch, but the option should be there instead of having an extra 10 ICE agents in the area. I'm sorry.
Agreed, 100%. I don't disagree with that at all in any way, shape, or form, Jay. I think kids getting the school lunches is important. I was more seeking to give the mix, the Texas floods that were referred to were a mixture between not having a siren and act of God. If you'd had a siren go off at maybe 10 p.m., that could have been entirely different instead of the siren at 2 a.m. And as I understand it was a combination of not using state funds and not using federal funds. So on that aspect was right. I just wanted to inject the act of God part. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I don't disagree. I experienced Sandy, and that too was just the perfect storm. I mean, it literally was. You couldn't have had anything line up better to cause it the way that it caused. My point was about budget, because that's what we were talking about. And it was silly. It was silly all because, that was my point.
Thank you, Ash. Let me say hello to Uncle Steve and go to Stephen 420, then Enda. Uncle Steve, how you doing? Can't hear you, Steve. If you're speaking, you may have to leave and come back, bro. Sorry. Stephen 420, how you doing, Brent?
Doing good.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes.
This I've got some technology on my end. I don't know what it is, but anyways, hi JB, hello everybody else. Thanks for holding the space. Happy Friday.
Hey, Uncle Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Hi. So I want to talk about one thing. Hopefully it's on point.
Wait. Before you
Sure.
Let me mute up. Everybody, make sure you show up Uncle Steve's Zoom tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you very much. Ask Uncle Steve. So, anyways, I'll say one quick thing about the budget, and then I'll listen to other minds. The infusion into ICE Homeland Security is arguably up to $150 billion a year, basically to go after and kick illegals out of the country. Okay, fine. We're still using the same system that we use for aliens coming into the country, where they register, we let them in, and then they get a court hearing in 3 years. And then they do whatever they do for that 2-3 years. I say take a very small portion, and I mean a very small portion of that $150 billion. I'm literally talking 25 million. Yeah, 25 million is a lot of money. Compared to 150 billion, it's a drop in the bucket. And hire 100 judges. 250 million salary annually. That equals 25 million. You know what? Screw it. Let's hire 1,000 judges. $250 million. Lots of money? Yeah. Next to 150 billion, it's still a drop in the bucket. Let's hire 1,000 judges to deal specifically with immigration administrative law. I'm in Southern California. We'll put them in California, in Texas, and Florida. If there's other southern states, I don't know, but I think those are the three main ones. And rather than having people, say, which one? Whatever, I'll continue.
Arizona.
Rather than have Arizona, thank you, Arizona, absolutely. Let's get 1,000 judges for $250 million. And that's when we pay them $250,000 a year. And rather than bringing people in, registering them, and letting them go free for 2 or 3 years, let's set a court hearing in 30 days. Hell, we might even want to house them. We keep trying. No, we don't want to do that. Let's just set the hearing for 30 days, and let's get them adjudicated. And if they're here legally, they're here legally. And if not, we kick their
It's
ass
too many
out.
people to do it in that time frame, Steve. It's way too many of them.
Well, I guess then it's a bad idea. Sorry, everybody. Back to you, JB.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I think we definitely need more judges. I would even take 10% of the 150 billion and get some more judges, get some more housing for these people. I mean, listen, the way the media plays it out, they're going to talk about the one-bed immigrant that came into this country, did something heinous, instead of the thousands that come in here and work, pay taxes, support their family. It's bizarre to me. But let me go to Stephen 420, then Hinda. Stephen 420.
Hey, how's it going? Long time since I've been out on your stage, and thank you for hosting the room. Very interesting topics. I am a single father who has recently, became unemployed and has had to, rely on the system. And mind everybody, it's a system that I paid into my whole life, that my parents paid into their whole lives, and my grandparents who paid into their whole lives, none of which received the full amount of which they paid into. So me feeling any sort of guilt about getting food stamps or any public assistance right now is null and void. And anybody who wants to shame me for doing that, well, go look at my tax history and how much I've paid into it. I'm taking out a small percentage. Give me a second, son. I'm talking a small percentage and have a game plan to be off of it. It's not a lifelong thing that I want to be on or do, but I am utilizing it at the moment. That's one issue. Two issue, as far as your potholes and your sewers. Well, I live in a very small rural community. We have a public utilities department, both water and power. Our water system has been failing for the last probably 7 years, pretty bad, due to a fail of lack of savings on the, publicly run, publicly funded water district. Now, during the course of the years, we've seen everybody within the water district get raises and all that fun stuff, yet none of that money was being allocated and put aside for the inevitable things that the structure are going to need. And that's a misallocation of funds by the whole district, taking raises, getting paid, well above the average wage in the community, and lining their own pockets and not thinking about the future of our community. And that's unfortunate, and that happens within all districts, and that is what needs to stop. CEOs need to stop making more and more money, giving the same exact amount of freaking effort, which, I'm sorry, the average everyday person, mechanic doesn't get a raise up above a top mechanic, on a yearly basis, and because the price of doing business goes up or whatnot. In fact, most owners of businesses would take a little bit of a deduction, having been a former small business owner that was pretty much taken out by COVID. Watching that happen and really not being able to do much about it except for leverage everything I have It was a scary time, and I'm getting out of it, and I've got a game plan. But I am the average American. I am your average freaking person. I see these issues of potholes and water lines and all these things. It's not the federal government. A lot of those are local municipalities that we vote our freaking tax dollars to be there. So, and we've all voted our tax dollars to go to funding public freaking or school lunches too. That we were all proposed those things, and we voted on them. Now they're being reneged because of some bureaucrat's pocket. No, I don't.
Well, no, what's being reneged upon is the federal funding, not the state funding. State funding is entirely different than federal funding. Usually what happened is the school lunch programs had some sort of a matching program with the federal government. I mean,
please don't take me as ignorant, Marshall, and not know how it works. I have a kid in public school. Okay, I know how it works. I'm not ignorant of it. Please excuse yourself from assuming that I am.
Well, Steve, let me just say something. I assume people around you might not know, and I was using you as an example to inform others, but okay.
Well, let me just say this, Steven. Man, you got my support, bro. Remember, the comeback's always greater than the setback. You got this, man. Known you for a few years, and you're one of the good dudes on the staff. So I wish you all the best, and I know you're going to get on your feet real quick. We're going to go ahead.
I am very passionate about freaking feeding the kids at school, because that is part of the mission that I'm on, and part of the reprogramming I'm doing for myself, and part of the business that I'm building. It is going to be providing fresh, local, organically raised food for our local schools. So
thank you, Steven. Thank you. Appreciate you. Guys, hold on. Let me get the queue in order. We got Hinda, Moose, Rabbi, then Jules.
I was gonna say, like, prior to these lunch funding programs, like, my aunt worked in the school system, and she worked in the cafeteria. Like, she was a substitute, she's a cafeteria worker, and like, they just throw the extra food out anyway. So the kids would be hungry. They didn't have food. They didn't have breakfast, whatever, and they're like, I'm hungry. And she said there was plenty of extra food, and she would give it to the kids, and she was fired for that. They used to fire people for giving that food away. They would rather throw it out than give it to the kids. So that lunch program, those breakfast programs, it's true, is very helpful to the children, because they don't have a full belly. How are they going to learn? The other thing I want to just read, other thing I just want to read here is the funding of ICE. So $45 billion. Now, they said it was more than this. I'm reading $75 billion, so maybe they increased it, because the original bill, I thought, was the $75 billion.
No, it was 45 in the initial funding, 75 in the secondary funding.
Okay. Because what I read, and I could be wrong, but this is just the most recent data I could find, it was $45 billion for the expense of immigration detention facilities, including family detention centers, $29.9 billion for ICE's enforcement and deportation operations, including hiring new agents and transportation costs, $10,000 bonuses for ICE and Border Patrol agents over the next 4 years, and additional funding for CBP, including personnel, technology, and vehicles. And to me, it just sounds like they took the money from the American people for the Medicaid, the SNAP, various things like the research funding, which I actually got really sick in 2020, and I was actually in one of those government government research programs. Me and a group of people were. I have something that people don't believe it. COVID's not real, blah, blah. I almost died from COVID in 2020. This before the vaccine was available. We were all selected so they could study and monitor our health over a period of time to see how we recovered from the deadly virus, because we almost died in 2020. And it was to see the effects of COVID on the brain, the heart, the organs, lungs, for all the people that got it before the vaccines were available, because they don't know the long-lasting effects, because COVID was a new virus. They don't know how it affects like children and the brain and all this kind of stuff. So that research has all been cut. That funding's all been cut. In one of the programs I was in, I got to try medication, and that medication helped me with the long-lasting complications and the symptoms that I was having. So I was really sad to see that program cut. But anyway, I just want to make a long story short. It just seems like they say they put Americans first, but they're giving more money. They're still giving additional money to undocumented, because now they're spending it on rounding them up and putting them in, alligator Alcatraz and all these facilities, and then taking away money from American citizens from the social programs that we had. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like you can't win. It's like you can't win.
So people should know this. The most expensive line item in the federal budget is social programs. It's a combination of three: Social Security, Medicare, and disability insurance. It makes up approximately $2.5 to $2.75 trillion out of our budget every year. So if you are coming in and you're saying you're going to reinvigorate the economy and try to save money, which I'll say this from my personal view, I don't think Trump saved money. I think Trump just spends a lot of money and then says he's going to save money. Anyway, if you're coming in and you're looking at where the federal government spends the most money, you're inevitably going to come down on the side of social programs because that's where we spend the most money. The second line item in our budget is the interest we pay on our federal debt. And the third line item is our military. And the fourth line item is literally everything else that we pay for. And these social programs in the next 20 years are predicted to grow to something like 1/3 to 2/3 of the entire U.S. budget, right? There's not a way we can do what we do now, fund those programs, and continue going without a significant amount of closing tax loopholes, as well as raising taxes on the wealthy and the middle income. You just simply cannot continue to spend the way we're spending without doing that. Otherwise, what we're going to end up doing is spending so much that the first line item on our debt becomes paying the interest on our debt. And we can only do that for so long before we lose the reserve currency of the world.
Hey, Marshall.
I'm going too far down the rabbit hole. I thought.
No. Let me just say this. And I also want to get Moose and Rabbi in the conversation. And maybe it's just me because I know Ash wants to jump in also. I could be in the minority here, Marshall. How about we cut the military budget by less than 1%, 0.5%? Take that money and put it into social programs and take care of our own kids. That's just my idea. But we won't do it. I don't like to be the big. Hold on. We like to be the big bully on the block. We have the biggest missiles. We have the greatest machine guns and airplanes. We're the strongest. We're the best. But we'll let our kids starve and people rot in prison. Let's start with that.
So look, I don't agree with cutting the waste out of the military. I'm sure if you had Brad in here, Brad can give you specific examples of where the waste is. The only specific example I have is the creation of the Bradley Fighting Vehicle, which is a 20-year-old vehicle. It started out at $2 million a unit between the Army and Ford and went to something like $10 or $20 million a unit. So in the contracting space, there's a lot of room to cut out waste. I would completely agree with that. The point I was trying to make is, regardless of where you take money from, the social sphere and the interest on the debt are the two quickest growing parts of where we allocate money. And unless we figure out how to deal with that while still being a leader in the world so we don't get told what to do by Russia and China, which is what would happen if we became a secondary leader and they became first, they would tell us what to do, then we have to think about how to deal with that. Maybe the answer, Jay, is that maybe the answer is that we just stop being the world policeman and we do let China and Russia tell us what to do, right? Maybe that's the actual answer to take care of the public.
Hold on, Mr. Rankin. Let me say this. This fear mongering, I don't eat that shit. You don't put that food in front of me, I'm not gonna eat it. I don't give a fuck about Russia and China. We're strong enough to sustain a small budgetary cut in the military spending in this country. But I want to go to Ash and then Moose and then Robbie. Yeah?
Yeah, it's funny. Oh,
what about you?
Hang on, Jules. It's funny because we never have enough money for social programs. Like, what do you want your taxes to go to? So here's the thing. There was like a time, it's so long ago, it was in the 1800s, right? When Congress people, senators, they didn't get paid, right? And they got like a per diem rate. But they were members of the community that they represented. They worked in the community. So let's say we even still have to pay a salary, which somehow we have enough money in the budget for them to get a raise. Like, I feel like it's every other week. I know I'm exaggerating. It's like every year. And we also have enough money in the budget to increase the cost, the money that they get per day to spend on food. And Congress people, 100% of their health care is covered. We always have the money for that. That vote is easy. There's always yeas, right? It's always yes, 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 yes. How about they get capped, they get term limits. They don't get health care if they're not serving, right? And instead of them having to fly all over the place back and forth to Washington, we have Zoom now. You know, Zoom, you can even raise your hand on those things. You could put emojis to express your emotion, right? Because we know Marjorie Taylor Greene likes to make those funny faces. She could just do that with an emoji, so we don't have to look at her. But instead of paying for them to fly back and forth and their gas and our tax dollars going away, we just vote on Zoom. You know, we can have these same arguments and these same votes over Zoom. They don't have to travel anymore. And that would save how much money if they didn't have to go back and forth walking where they were. How much money, if they had to live in their community and we didn't have to fork up rent for them to stay in DC, how much money would that save? Because we do have Zoom, right?
Hey,
So I
hold on,
agree with you on everything.
Marshall, hold on one second. Ashley, how about this? I love what you're saying. How about we put a 10% cap on all these politicians that do insider trading like Nancy Pelosi? We take that 10%, we put into social programs. Because I guarantee you it's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's
Marshall, just hold on. Go ahead, Ed.
It's just wild that we're always talking about cutting social programs that help people because we think people stay on it. I mean, for the most part, Stephen, I'm sorry to use you as an example, but for the most part, most of the people on there are Stephen.
No,
They've paid into the system.
Please use me as an example because I am a perfect example, and I am somebody who does not want to permanently be on it. And
nobody does.
And you're a single
Nobody
dad.
does.
I don't care. Like,
it's a pain in the butt.
when it comes to gender things, people say, "Oh, it shouldn't make a difference." But just let's be honest, a single dad. I'm sorry, I just commit because I think it's a natural, innate thing when you're a mom, right? That nurturing thing, that's a natural thing. That's not a natural thing for men. It's like a skill you have to fucking develop because you got the kids down. So my hat to you, man.
Absolutely. Let me just say this, and then I'm going to go to Moose because he's been patiently waiting. When I first came home from being incarcerated, parole forces you on these social programs, right? Let me tell you what I was getting a month, and this is no bullshit. I think I was getting $139 a month and like $150 in food stamps. And this is what they're going to cut. $130. What the fuck am I doing with $139? Thank God I'm a different kind of man. I got on my feet. But people need these programs. Let me go to Moose. Moosey, what's up, man?
What's up, JB? Best mod in the streets of Clubhouse, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, a lot here. I'll try to keep it relatively short. I know there's other folks that want to speak. So, yeah, I mean, I think folks saying, you know, I think Uncle Steve had a good point. Looks like he's not here anymore, but that's something we're laughing at, you know, about getting more judges. You know, it's like, well, let's just skip the judges, which means you're skipping due process. You know, let's hire more judges. Let's try to fix the problem. Or we can build more alligator Alcatrazes, right? As far as I know, the first is in Florida. And first reports is $450 million per year. I dug a little deeper, was looking at some New York Times stuff, and I think they were saying it could, when all is said and done, operation costs, personnel, insurance, all that, they could easily exceed $600 million for one institution. They actually even further went to say that while the state of Florida is initially funding the project, it can request reimbursement from FEMA, from Federal Emergency Management Agency. This funding is part of the Shelter and Services Program, which is normally used for disaster relief. Pretty timely considering what just happened to Texas, not to mention all the hurricanes that smash down on Florida on a regular basis. But let the elephant continue to cut off its trunk to spite its face and spit in its voters' faces. That we're going to increase the ICE budget alone to the increments that have been discussed. I think we last heard was $75 billion. do we even have transparency or what exactly or how that is exactly being spent? I mean, the government just throws out these numbers like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I guess ICE, yeah, that's expensive stuff. Even though when you look at the previous budget that seemed to, be operating, maybe not perfectly, but manageably, was way, way, way less. But let's go crazy and just throw out a number there. 75 billion. Next week might be 90 billion because we need to keep those borders safe. Never mind all the discussion that we've been hearing here with school lunch programs being cut, social service programs being cut. And Marshall, respectfully, I think when you were listing off some of those programs,
Lucy's not here.
yeah. Anyway, I just bottom line, it's incredible that we're here where we are, where we're at a point where ICE budget alone has been increased to what it is, and per the DeSantis, governor of Florida, his taxpayers are fronting the bill, but he can just turn around and get that backdoor payment from FEMA, which of course, again, will be, I can't say this enough, will literally be taking money away from emergency disaster situations. We're not talking about somewhere in the Midwest that doesn't really get a lot of stuff, not even California earthquakes. I mean, California fires are bad enough, but Florida is with the rains, the hurricanes, and he's literally, I guarantee he's going to turn around, get reimbursed, and take that money away from the disaster relief funds where folks won't be able to rebuild. Take away alarm soundings that we've talked about from like that happened in Texas that could have saved many, many lives. So it's really frustrating. I'm not saying the left was handling it perfectly, but this is obscene. And I think the government, as we as taxpayers, I think the government owes taxpayers more transparency on how exactly that ICE budget is being allocated. If anyone here can, I've tried to look online here and there. I would love to know really if there's any sort of breakdown or if they're just using these big words like, operations and personnel and training and hiring. Yeah, all good. I'm good, man. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. So thank you for coming in, Moose, and sharing. Ash, now I see you guys there because I got a boogie. Do you want to keep it open or close it down? Hold on, MAGA.
No, I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna go eat dinner. So I don't know if anybody else wants to keep it open. I'm gonna go eat dinner.
I want to say something to you.
Enjoy your dinner.
I'll keep it open for like 10 minutes to let the final. I'll keep it open for those final speakers to talk, and then I'm gonna bounce too, so I can go eat.
Well, Mike, do me a favor. When you go eat, please just shut it down. Don't leave it open.
Absolutely.
I'm going to do another room later. Guys, good seeing you. Good hearing from you. Ashley, I love you like a fat kid.
Thank you. Likewise. Enjoy your dinner, guys, and I appreciate the debate.
Take care, Ash.
Enjoy your weekend, JP.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, Ash. Okay, so any final speakers? Go ahead. The
Yes.
mic is yours.
Yes.
Go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, one at a time. Hold on. Cool. I saw Cool C and what Jules. I don't know. We all came off the mic at the same time. Cool C, be cool. Be cool, Cool C.
I will.
Okay. We'll go Cool C and then Jules.
So my biggest question, yes, we're talking about the budget. We're talking about ICE budget. You got 11 million people in here that came across the border in a short period of time. Now, obviously, 11 million people take away regular jobs and other stuff. That's my biggest thing is they're taking jobs that maybe other people in the industry could have or Americans could have, and they would start having more money for themselves. Those 11 million people consume money that Americans could be consuming themselves, and that could help with the budget. Now, the ICE budget you're talking about, you got to deal with 11 million people that came in here illegally or across the border when they shouldn't have or when it was open. Obviously, we got to give them due process or a process. there's also a process of taking them back across the border if they don't belong. You got 11 million people that are taking housing jobs like building houses. You got them in construction jobs. You got them in landscape jobs. You got them doing factory jobs. It's not just Spanish. It's Indian, they're Bangladesh, they're whatever they are. They're taking our jobs.
Well, wait a minute. Cool see somebody in the chat. Wait, Cool see somebody in the chat said it's the same old rhetoric that you MAGA folks spew. They're taking our jobs. They're taking our jobs. But what's interesting is what jobs? Because on the flip side, the argument is Americans don't want these jobs. So,
but they would take those jobs, just like in Wisconsin when that factory got raided. I believe it was Wisconsin. Guess what? The next day, they had all the local town people apply for those jobs. That's the thing. People don't take jobs that someone's willing to do for less when they should be getting a higher wage as American. And if we started taking care of our Americans better and paying them a fair share instead of not paying enough to the lower class people taking the jobs from us, then maybe we'd see some people have money for the school lunch that they need to feed their kids. I'm kind of on that situation. I'm a truck driver. I'm not doing great. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. For 2 weeks, I made more than some people, $1,500. But the income I used to get truck driving was about $1,500 a week, not every 2 weeks. So I'm down because some of our jobs are lost.
Thank you, Kofi. Hold on. Let's go to Jules. Go ahead, Jules. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you let Coolsey speak first because I like a lot of what he said. So I'll keep going on that. But first, I want to say it was Steven, the single father. I want to wish him my best. And he doesn't have to make excuses. We know you're trying to feed your own kid, so that's really cool. Okay. I want to correct something. What?
I think he left, but yeah.
Yeah, all right. But if he's in the audience, and my sympathies are with him. I mean, you got to feed your kid.
Wait, hold on. Kusi, go on mute if you don't mind so we don't get any feedback, please.
Yeah, thank you. I want to. I just don't like hearing the false things when we talk about spending and whatever. How billionaires don't pay taxes. I'm an ex-IRS agent. Billionaires pay taxes. In fact, 90% of our federal tax comes from billionaires, and it's close to 50% now of families that don't pay any taxes, which is okay with me if they're in the bottom, but let's not tell lies that more billionaires got to pay taxes, because that's really not true. And I just we spoke before. Who spoke about? I think it was Marshall who talked about the line items in our budget. That's the most. Well, the second most was the interest on the debt, and that is the second largest line item in our budget. Now, if Powell would stop playing games and reduce the Fed Reserve interest rate, that saves us billions, and that could pay a lot, to whoever you want to direct it to. So he's just playing political games. It's not right. I don't want him to be fired, but it's really hurting the country. And he has no reason, because there's no inflation. And if we ever go into an inflationary period, he could raise it just as simple as he cuts it. So, isn't just no excuse in that. He's just playing politics. I don't know. That's about all I wanted to say. Billionaires pay taxes. You can't keep saying, go get the money from the billionaires. You're getting plenty from the billionaires. You're getting more than their fair share from the billionaires. Trust me. And I don't know. I think that's all I want to say, unless somebody wants to ask me something.
Well, somebody in the chat said, Leanne in the chat said, but Jules also says, I voted for this. Billionaires pay a lower tax rate. That's what Leanne in the chat says. I think she's responding to your comments.
Well, when the tax rate is staying low, that's what the big beautiful deal was about. The tax rate stayed low, and if it didn't pass, billionaires would pay more. But they're paying their fair share now. Why do you want them to pay more? It's more than by the way, more than billionaires would be paying more. Most Americans would be paying more. And we don't want that. We want lower taxes. And there's other ways. Trump is generating money on tariffs. It's just unbelievable what he's doing on that. So there's money coming there. Oh God, I wanted to say one more thing. I can't remember. So that's being. So take the phone out. So we're paying our fair share. It would have been the biggest tax raise ever in this country if the big bill didn't pass. And believe me, you don't want that. So I can't remember what I wanted to say. It was a key thing. But all right, I'll leave it at that. Any other questions to me about that?
Yeah. Just because you have a voice doesn't mean you should use it. Use it.
All right. What do you mean just because I have a voice? What does that mean?
It means you should use the mute button more than use your voice. Use your voice. The thing about point is one thing about point, I've been informed about point. We're not sure when point is serious and when point is trolling. So tread lightly when responding to point, because oftentimes point is quite serious with their submissions. Other times, as I've been informed, point is trolling. In this case, it's hard to discern point. I guess point, I want to hear what you had to say.
I'm not trolling. Some shit was going on in my house that took my attention.
No, I'm not saying you're trolling. I was speaking about point, who told you you should use your mute meter.
Yes, but I was talking. You don't use your mute when you're talking. I was muted the whole time. That's why I'm the left on the stage.
Yeah.
But
we understand. What was going on in your house? We'd like to know. What was going on over there?
Well, another phone was ringing, and I have one person here, and she was in another room, and I don't know if that's interest to you.
Well, let me speak to her, and we'll find out. Let me speak to her.
No, you're not going to speak to her, boy.
All right, fine. Point, leave that man alone, Point.
The point can say what she wants, you know.
My biggest thing is, I think if we had more people who are willing to do more jobs, because there are more jobs available, and the money we're budgeting for the illegal aliens or ICE is because we have such a problem with so many of them taking what belongs to Americans. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, people are questioning what ICE is spending a year, but imagine if they didn't have to spend $45 billion or whatever it is on housing and alligator Alcatraz. If we didn't let that many people in, imagine more Americans doing actual getting good wages, living wages, because of that. That's why, like, the tariffs are coming back to America, bringing jobs back, and if we do more of that, bring more jobs back and give more Americans more of a living wage and incentivize employers. And like you said, the billionaires are paying their taxes. The person who owns certain companies are paying their fair share in taxes. I mean, the small business owner will, but if he gets credit for giving that guy a $20 an hour job or whatever it is, and you have more Americans making more livable wages, we would be able to take care of the kids. We've let too many illegal people in here that make it difficult to take care of these things. And That's the biggest thing. You got house cleaners, housekeepers. You could probably find some other housekeepers or back of the house kitchen people to do the jobs, but because the employer can't or won't pay them a fair wage, they'll rather pay someone $6 an hour, $8 an hour, state minimum wage in Pennsylvania like $7.25 an hour to do a back of the house job when you could paying that person $11 an hour and get good quality work out of them. And that's the biggest thing.
And ICE hopefully is a temporary expense because, and by the way, the blame for why we have to pay so much for ICE is obviously the previous administration that opened the borders. Whether you like it or not, that's who's to blame for that. And somebody posted something, is $20 a fair wage? Probably not. It depends on the job you're talking about. But in this country, you don't have to...
Fast food is, they got rid of, they hired machines to do the burgers in McDonald's in California. They were paying people $15 an hour. But there's people who are getting paid $15 an hour can't even buy their cheeseburger at Burger King anymore because the burger is $15 an hour. How are they going to buy a meal? When I was working at $7.25 an hour, my meal was half price at Burger King. So instead of $6 at that time, I was still able to afford a $3 meal. I mean, you got to work harder, longer to get that meal covered now. And maybe if you had quality people in the kitchen doing the job and taught respect, I mean, it's hard to do, but I get it. These people will take less of an income and more of a discount, less of an income, but able to hire more because they'll do it for less. So I get it, and that's why I brought it up in the beginning about JB's grandson. His boss shut the door and took video of his boss getting arrested for not letting ICE in and doing their job. Imagine if they would have hired the regular Americans to do the job that ICE got rid of. Guess what? Those would be Americans making that money instead of immigrants sending it back overseas.
Well, like they said, the Americans don't want the jobs. They say Americans don't want the jobs.
They would want the jobs if they weren't getting cheated, giving it up to a lower wage person. And you give it up to a lower wage person, how are these illegal immigrants paying taxes? Well, they're stealing your social security number, mine possibly, someone's social security number. And guess what? When you go to file your taxes, maybe the IRS guy, Jules, would say, oh yeah, there's a lot of people that got multiple social security numbers or taxes coming in that aren't in the same state, and they're being filed. So who do we give the tax refund to? The legal immigrant or the legal immigrant? Or are we supposed to set them up with an LLC, the legal immigrant, and get them an EIN number so they do pay taxes? That would be one way of doing it, and actually making sure they get their fair taxes by setting them up with an LLC for $125 in Pennsylvania. And then they go to the state, get an EIN. And now they got to report their income, 1099. There you go. There's illegals that way.
It's funny you're talking about lower earners and the taxes and everything. And what you're saying is valid. So I don't know why the people of America didn't revolt when they saw Joe Biden's son setting up LLCs all across the world and stashing money that they were getting and not paying any taxes. I mean, that should...
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the Mexican taking the job. And
Hold on. Oh, that's Marshall. Hold on, let me just say this really quick, and Marshall, you got it. Do you guys think that we are, as Americans, we're concerned about the wrong things? That all of this is just distracting? That at the end of the day, when we lay our heads down and go to sleep, a lot of this stuff is not... I realize it's important, but is it... how detrimental is it to our livelihoods? I mean, do we really care at the end of the day? Immigrants have been here for how long, ladies and gentlemen? And it only becomes an issue, in my opinion.
Immigrants, not illegal. Not illegal.
Just
well, and that too.
But then that's a migrant. That's a migrant.
And that too. It seems to me it only becomes an issue, immigration, migrant, illegals, whatever we want to call it, when the politicians make it an issue to keep us divided and arguing and distracted and sparring, right?
You're right.
And 2 months, 3 months, a year from now, we'll be on to a whole nother subject and nobody will be talking about this. So I have to wonder, do we actually really care? This is, I understand the position that they're taking jobs from Americans. I understand that passionate talking point that many people have. I've been guilty of sharing my opinion on that too. And I agree, we need to have more jobs for Americans. But I keep stressing this. Every time we have this conversation, folks, the pushback is always, well, Americans don't want these jobs, so somebody has to do it. Right?
Well, I think Americans don't want the jobs because employers are giving them to lower income people who will take them, when if they were to pay the American a decent wage to do that job, build a house, to actually nail in the nails correctly, instead of just putting a house up in 3 days or 2 days and the framework not being great. Imagine an American going in there hardworking.
It does happen. See, that's not often the problem. The problem is in agriculture and construction, Americans can't do the jobs as fast. So
they could. You
can just let me finish. While you have people who will just get interested in construction and can't do the job as fast, the folks who are either farm worker immigrants or folks who are not here legally can often do the jobs at a much faster rate with a much lower learning curve, right?
Yes, but the quality of work.
Bro,
Cool C, let him finish. Cool C, let Marshall finish.
If you don't want me to move you to the audience, you need to stop interrupting.
Sorry.
Thank you. So you can teach Americans to do these jobs at a faster rate, but the learning curve is higher. So part of the argument is that these people have a lower learning curve than we do. And so they're more likely to take the jobs and be hired because they can do them in an economically efficient amount of time versus Americans who have to be taught to do this. It's going to take them a couple of houses to get quick.
You are,
but you don't understand.
Wait.
Marshall, listen. Yeah. Wait, what happened? What happened to your piece? Wait, hold on, Kusi.
Your piece, did you just mute yourself or did the thing mute you on accident? Because I didn't mute you.
I didn't mute you either. I didn't mute you, Cool Piece. But hold on, Kusi. We've been very gracious with you on the mic.
Yeah.
Let's let your piece say what she would like to say.
I wanted to hear what you had to say.
Your piece, if you're there, maybe she got a call and we don't know.
Well, my biggest thing, like you were saying, Marshall, yes, the immigrants do these jobs, they do them quicker, but sometimes they're sloppier. What they do, they don't put quality work in. If you train someone to do quality work, they do put the houses up quick. That's why when some of these people go to inspect the houses, they're looking at the corners. They're looking at this. And some of the cement work, some of the other stuff should not be approved, and yet they sell the houses. Or they get around it because how quickly it was put together. If you hired Americans, maybe they do take a little longer to build that house, but the nails are going to go in there right. The roof is going to be on tighter. There's not going to be the parts that may fall apart sooner, where you have to have a 20-year warranty on your house, when you could get a good quality house and still have that 20-year warranty with better quality of it built. That's what I was getting at is, yes, the legal will build it for cheaper rate, quicker, but not always quality quality work.
I don't know if I agree. I understand your point, and
I've seen it.
But wait.
The inspectors go around and look at these houses. I'm just saying, they're taking construction jobs. They're taking truck driving jobs. They're taking these jobs from us. The truck driver has to, if they're going to work on a construction site in a home building community, they have to, like the graders and all that level the ground and all that. They have to go through licensing. What they do with these foreigners, their licensing, they don't do.
So maybe our grievances shouldn't be with the worker. Maybe it should be with the employer. They're taking advantage of these workers because they can hire them at lower wage. Yeah. So maybe we shouldn't be, have these fiery responses and reactions to. And we haven't even talking about. Your piece, yeah, we want to jump in there. Go ahead, your piece. Go ahead. You got it.
We didn't hear you.
Yeah, I don't know if you're having some mic issues, but the mic is yours, sis.
Go for it.
Well, wrong place, wrong time with somebody who is a killer, with a rifle. I'm good. I don't want to hang out with you.
Okay, so hold on. Who is this that wants to come up? Arthur, I was trying to bring you up, but I added you as a friend. I didn't mean to do that, but here we are. You're my friend now. You don't need to add me back, but I was just trying to bring you up. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you don't want to be my friend?
We're friends now, Arthur.
Hell yeah. So I'm a GC with 20 years in the trades. Can I speak reality here?
Yes.
You got it. Go ahead. Cool C, go on. Wait, Cool C, go on mute so we don't have to. He fucking mute. All that overtime, male chauvinist fucking pig. Your piece, but nobody's muting you. That's the thing. I don't know who's. I'm not muting you. But I couldn't hear anything that I was trying to. We can't hear. But wait. Let me just say this. Also, let me say this. Facts. This app has been glitching. For a lot of people, for a lot of users, they're finding when they speak on some of these stages, the app automatically mutes them. We're finding that sometimes you have to leave the room and come back or restart your phone altogether, right? Something weird is happening on Clubhouse where some people are experiencing when they start talking, they're muted automatically. It's an app glitch. But nobody on the stage has muted you. I can guarantee you I'm not muting you. So, yeah, if you were talking, sis, we couldn't hear you. As a matter of fact, I was like, your piece, go ahead, talk, but we didn't hear anything. So if you keep getting muted, it's the glitch on the app. So you might have to leave and come back.
Is this happening in other rooms too?
It has happened to Roger. If y'all know Roger Mayhem, Mojo, it happened to him a lot. I was in another space that happened to a speaker. I've not experienced it, but I have been in rooms where other speakers on the stage have experienced it. So hopefully she'll come back. Okay, hold on, Arthur. Before you go, let's see if this works. Your piece, you got it. See, yeah, I'm not muting you, sis. I promise you I'm not muting you. And CO has been silent on the stage. I don't even think CO's in the room, so I know he's not doing it. And the driver just came up, so I know he's not muting you. I'm positive it's a glitch. You might have to restart your phone. I know someone in another room, Mojo had this problem. When he was hosting his own space, he literally had to restart his phone and come back in the room before it started working. So if you want to give it one more try, go ahead. But I can guarantee you I wouldn't mute you. I enjoy listening to you. Yeah, somebody in the chat is even co-signing. It's true in all rooms, go in and out and come back in. Yeah, it's happening a lot, sis. So while we wait for you and this weird glitch with the mic, we're going to turn it over to Arthur. But your piece, when you come back, yeah, just go off the app and come back. Scotty Lynn is saying, hey, Scotty. Yeah, you have to literally leave the app and come back. Okay, Arthur, you got it, Arthur.
All right. Construction. So there's usually like 3 tiers. There's high, mids, and lows. So the high quality guys work for themselves. They're custom. They're in demand. They charge what they want, and they do banging ass dope work, and they don't have to advertise or look for work or go bid on jobs. And they're booked up months, years ahead of time. These are your best guys. nobody can afford them unless you can afford them. So that's top tier. Mid tier is your regular, advertises social media. He's got a crew or a few. He's a GC. He's insured. He's bonded. He's got trucks. He's got capital. He's got overhead. He's got insurance. He's got workers' comp. He's got the whole thing. So he can't afford to work for builders because builders pay crap. Why? Because builders have quantity. They do quantity. Cookie cutter. Okay, how many houses can you do? How many guys you got? So to fit that kind of demand, your regular blue collar builder who used to build in the 90s, they can't do that anymore. So they have to go work. They have to do remodeling because remodeling is where the money's at. Kitchens, bathrooms, basements. And because people who want to live in a neighborhood, in an area, they're going to move in, buy an old house to be closer to town instead of far away in a suburb, driving, commuting to work in a brand new cookie cutter, shitty, put together house by low tiered trades that are often hired by builders. Builders have superintendents that hire GCs who just know how to speak English. And these GCs go to the bar and hire, hey, I need 5 guys. We're doing this drywall job or something. And that's how it's done. So these guys are immigrants. They work, they weld, they smoke weed, they party, they do great work. But only up to the quality that they're getting paid to. So to say that those guys can't do that kind of work, that's not true. They often go off and disappear for a little while because they get work. They have quality, but because they're immigrants, because they're not legal, because they're not bonded, because they don't have insurance, because if they break your leg on my job, holy shit, I'm fucked. Because they have that, they don't have the ability to attract the kind of pricing that they are worth. So they work stupidly fast and just barely passing for builders who pay peanuts. So that's how that works.
Yes, I was agreeing with you. That's what I was saying. I know it gets a little harder for the contractors and all that stuff to get good quality employees, but if they started hiring better and doing it a little bit better, it might work better. And yeah, there's ones that are way top tier. They're building their own houses, a single house at a time.
The guys who are great these days, they don't need to work for a guy. They have an app. They have Thumbtack. They have a pickup truck. They find work themselves. If you know how to do drywall and some kind of carpentry, you can charge $50-$60 an hour working for yourself. I'll hire you. I charge $150. I'll pay you $60. Do it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're the guys that are building one house at a time. They're not building multiple houses like a whole thing. And that's what I'm saying is when the inspector goes into some of these, they're looking at cracks in the foundation. They see the corners aren't a full 90 degrees. The pipes may not have been put in right. The electricity, that's one whole thing they do look for, I think, importance. But, I mean, the corners of the wall, all that stuff, the windows. I've seen videos where windows aren't even square in houses that were being built.
You have to factor in settlement. Some builders don't want to wait that 6 months, 12 months that it takes when you pour a foundation. You have to wait for settlement to frame and build a house. So they build right away, and it's cheaper for them to have a punch list of things to correct than to build it correctly and take longer doing it the correct way and paying guys that are worth it. No, they rather get away with doing 100. Failing on 10 of them, half of them will have warranty issues, but the builders only have typically a 1-year warranty. So I was a punch guy for about a year. I went and I saw how all the builders work because I was the punch list guy before I went on my own 10 years ago. So that's what caused me to go on my own. I thought I'd be a big shot builder, working as a supervisor, running teams and training people. I thought it was great. And then I saw what building is actually. Totally different world from where I came from, which is remodeling, flipping homes, investment properties, that kind of shit. I came from the housing collapse, the financial, that 2008, all that. That's where I came up from, making stupid money for investors who were selling houses like hotcakes. And then TV came and started making TV shows like Flip That House, and then programmed the whole masses and everybody to like, hey, buy houses, and then that's how the prices remained high, all because it became popular to be a landlord. Social media influencers, hey, you should be a landlord. Now all these people came in during COVID lockdown, bought Airbnbs, now they're paying the price. Everybody's losing their house. It was all hype. It was fake. It was pumped. Everything's pumped. Everything was hyped up, and now everything's going back down.
So I also said if someone, like that builder or that guy who does hire all those illegal immigrants, we got a mushroom factory in Pennsylvania that's been raided at least twice over time. I say someone who's like that, who has hired illegal immigrants, they sponsor them. They sponsor their visa. They sponsor their education. They may have to do 1 week, because they were housing them there, I think, at one point at this farm. They have to pay. They have to give them 1 hour of English speaking classes so that they actually become American. I think if someone's going to do that, I think that's the way you go about these programs. If you're going to do this, you treat them right. You also help them get their visa as part of your program, or get their American whatever.
It's not that easy. You got to come in here legally first. If you're legal, you've already broken the law. You can't get papers by being here legal. You need an invitation from a company, from a corporation in the United States, sent an invitation to your address and invited via some kind of work visa, so that when you stay for a work visa and stand for like a year, then you can qualify for residency. And once you become a fucking resident and stay 5 years and taking tests, then you become legal.
I get that, but if someone's going to sponsor these illegally, whatever, there should be a process to help them become legal, is what I was saying.
Okay, hold on.
Like that builder or that farm.
Pause, cool. See, hold on, because I'm going to turn it back over to your piece in a minute to see if she wants to speak. And I am about to shut the room down in a second here. But shameless plug, really quickly, deviate from the immigration migrant job talk. If anybody watches Dexter, check out my interview with Michael C. Hall. I pinned the link to the top. They have revived the Dexter series, Dexter Resurrections. I'm a huge Dexter fan. So if anybody is a fan of the Dexter franchise, there's a new Dexter that premiered next week. There's a new Dexter that premiered last week on Showtime. The new episode drops tonight. For those who are new to the space, who are new to my voice, I'm an entertainment news reporter, so I interview a lot of celebrities. And I'm just proud of the fact that I got an opportunity to interview Michael C. Hall. It's a very short interview, but there's a link at the top for anybody who's interested. Check it out. Your piece, are you there? Would you like to share your piece, miss? She's not there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, another thing. I run a club here. Our house is called Press Hollywood. Join the house if you like conspiracy theory talk as it relates to politics, UFOs, aliens, and celebrities and celebrity gossip and pop culture. And I play a lot of my celebrity interviews in there and spill the tea. We're meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central, so if anybody's interested, give me a follow or follow the house and check us out tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central. Now, final thoughts for anybody on the stage, because A, I got to go eat, and B, it looks like some of the people that I like on this app have opened up another room that might be a really good discussion, and I want to go in there and check it out. Yeah. The piece you got.
Okay, I was just saying this too.
Okay, what is going on with my sister's mic?
I think some of these mics, if they're going on there, as soon as it hears you speak, it's actually messing up, because depending on her pitch and tone, depending on what she has, may be cutting her off automatically. It might be the device, not the phone. It could be the if she's on a headset, that headset might automatically mute. So,
well, she left. This is annoying me. For the record, I hope.
I agree.
Folks know I wouldn't mute her at all. I don't mute people. Okay, so that's
as soon as she got high pitched, it went to silent. So as soon as she got high pitched, it automatically went to silent. So it could be her headset or her earphones or something, thinking she's saying something else like, "Hey Siri."
And why? You don't have to defend yourself. You seem to be a very nice person and a very nice host, and you wouldn't do that. I'll just say that.
What house is it? What house was it again?
It's Press
And how often?
Hollywood. Press Hollywood. 2 words. Press Hollywood.
And how often?
Every week we meet around on Saturday. Sometimes I have to work on Saturday. If I have to work a junket, then we don't meet. But usually every Saturday at 2 p.m. Central. So we're definitely having a room tomorrow because I didn't have a room last week. Yeah. So tomorrow we have a lot to catch up on in the entertainment space, and really, if you're, and I just say this as a general, it's really not this. Our language is foul in there. Okay, if you're the easily offended type, if you don't like conspiracy theories and it talks about aliens and government conspiracies and MK Ultra and celebrity sexual sacrifices, is not the room for you.
Anunnaki and all?
Yes, we cover all of that.
So I guess
I might have liked it.
The black
I guess Epstein's name was mentioned, huh?
Oh, we talk about all of that. No topic is off limits, and all voices are welcome. We have everybody that comes into all voices are welcome. Black, white, gay, straight. We don't care. We don't discriminate. Everybody can come in, right? So tell a friend, join the space. But listen, guys, I am going to close the room now.
I'll look for you. Thank you.
All right. Y'all be blessed. Same to you. I'm going to give you a follow, Jules. Y'all be blessed. Have a good Friday and a good weekend, and we'll see you in the next Healthy Debates room.
Playing basketball with them, and then they become our best friend. So we was like, what's going on with her? So my mom said, it's okay. If you like girls, I still love you. I think it's okay. Everybody's like, leave me alone, Grandma. I just want to study. Come to find out, the motherfucker like boys and girls.
Your mom's cute.
It's okay. The only thing my mom and dad said, they're not going to approve of her bringing home a transvestite because he would.
Yeah.
My daddy said, don't do that Kehlani shit. Have a baby with a man that dress up as a woman.
Oh, yeah, Kehlani.
He said, you do that shit. That motherfucker don't love you. He trying to look good for another man, not for a woman. So my dad said that's his cutoff when it comes to her relationships. But she done had, now that she done came out the closet, she done had a boyfriend that she was actually serious with for a long time. She broke up with him because he got she broke up with him because he got a DUI. She's like, there's no future in that. She's like, he got a record now. I was like, okay. Then she had a girlfriend that didn't last because she used to smoke. I know this kind of sounds crazy, but she's like, she smoked weed. I don't want no girlfriend that smells like marijuana and cigarettes.
Yeah.
So, and she doesn't like ghetto girls.
Oh, okay. She like pretty girls.
She says she wants a decent looking girl, or she wants that has some.
But does she like girls, or she likes girls that are pretty that dress like boys?
She doesn't like girls that dress like boys.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so she likes pretty girls.
She's a femme.
Okay.
So in our world, if it's a girl she's gonna chill with, she's gotta look like a girl. And then she looks like a girl. So she will wear her crop shirts, her girlfriend's gonna wear her crop shirts.
Yeah, that's how my niece is.
But then
yeah, that's how I am.
if she's with a boy,
Uh-huh.
he gotta be. So I think she got this from my mom. He's got to be like getting ready to graduate from college, and he has to be able to have a conversation, and he has to be a socialist Democrat. If you're conservative, she's not fucking with you.
Yeah. So I was talking to my niece that day. I said, yo, if I put my niece on this app, she will chew this fucking stage up and spit it out.
She will too.
Oh my God.
She be listening to me all talk. She was like, where do they get their information? Because I don't know.
She was the same way.
She was like, what? Do they read books?
That's the same thing Destiny was telling me when I was on the app, when I was at her mom's house. She's like, these people, they don't read. If they don't read, that's their problem.
That's what she said. I said they read the headlines, they don't read the article. She's like, you know, sometimes even within the article, it's nice to do a quick Google search. I was like, yeah, you're right, babe. She said, she was like, Mom, like one time I was spazzing, right? This is when she first came home. She was like, Mom, don't spaz on them. They're a little slow. Sometimes, like with slow people, you just gotta say, okay. Yeah, that was nice.
She'd be sharp as hell. I'm laughing.
My niece was like, you know, I have blocked all the family that was Republican. I don't follow them on it. I was like, really? She was like, yeah, I just can't deal with it.
Yeah, her too.
God.
Yeah. And then even with Aya or even the African girl, let me tell you something. They went to go see Barbie. This is how deep entrenched they are into socialism. So they come home and I was like, did you understand the whole story behind Barbie? There's a message. And I'm like, what's the message?
What's the message? I gotta hear this.
It's how men put their foot on our neck. They don't want us to progress in society. It's as if we cannot, like, the greatest leaders are like Merkel. Like, look how Merkel brought countries together. And like, it wasn't about pretty politics because she's a thick older lady, short haircut, and looks butch-like, and still made things happen. My favorite picture is the picture of her eyeing Trump. She let him know, like, I'm not with the BS. And I was like, yeah, you're right. It sounds nice. My daddy calls her a gray baby. He calls all the girls a gray baby. He's like, them girls are gray babies.
And my niece said she don't want no kids. I was like, okay.
She doesn't want kids either. You want babies? She said, I got a dog.
She said, I'll adopt kids, but I don't want my own kids. I'm like,
she doesn't even want to adopt. She was like, why would I adopt children in this world? Like, they're getting
Barbieheimer. Oh, I hated that they did that to us. Like, they was trying to pit men and women against each other. That's something.
Well, yeah, my niece lost her virginity at 19 in Penn with a guy.
Yeah, her too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, guess who she calls about her business? Her grandpa.
What does grandpa say?
For the first time, he was like, I want to hear this shit. He didn't say her. He was like, okay, baby, okay. So what he does is he calls me. My mom's at work. He's like, call your mama. I don't know how to do this 3-way shit on my cell phone. So I call my mom. He was like, you know that damn girl called. I said, what'd you say? He said, okay. Well, if you need something, just let grandpa know. So he calls me. I call my mom. He's like, I don't know. My mom was like, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We need her to be able to talk. If she's telling you her secrets, it's okay.
Yeah.
My dad was like, I want to hear that shit.
She called my mom. No, my sister, then my mom, then she called me. I was like, okay. And you okay? Like, how was it? And, was he, did he know what he was doing? Was he too rough or what? Did he take his time? She was like, yeah. I was like, okay.
Now, she told me she didn't like it. It's kind of bad because, like, a lot of men don't realize, like, guys be like, oh, I want to pop her cherry. She's going to fall in love. Like, even with me, the first time I had sex with somebody, it's like, it hurt so bad. Like, it hurt.
Yeah, there was no pleasure when you're trying to, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you can either regret the dude or you just love him because of his personality or how he takes care of you. Like, guys think that you fall in love with them because they popped your cherry. Nigga, don't do amount of shit for our first fuck. You broke our hymen. And that shit hurt like a motherfucker. If we stood by your ass, it's only because we loved your personality. So just know that girl that loved you when she was a virgin only loved you because of who you were. It had nothing to do with your dick. Am I right?
Yeah.
That's like the worst experience.
You know, George, it had nothing to do with sex. I just really liked him. He was so cute.
So you're saying?
Oh, George.
So it's like a penis plus type issue, like penis plus personality. Is that
What? We can't hear you.
I'm getting ready to close my room. That's taking too long. You got me on my daughter's phone.
What? You never told us.
You're underwater.
You gotta know you opened the room and we can't hear you.
She ain't open that room. She went to go get some chicken and she trying to chill in here so we can fucking stay up all goddamn night.
Where is she at? Anyway.
She had it open first. I was right about to go right now, Lisa.
Let me go check. Lisa. Is Lisa gone? Okay, she's gonna reopen. Dr. AG.
All right, guys, we got a link. Let me put the link on top.
Yes, Patty.
Oh, go to the other room. I'm gonna ask you in the other room.
All right, click the link up on top, guys. We're closing down.
Dr. AG, you gonna go before me because I know you know.
Let's go. No.
I know you.
Come on, I left.
Go, Dr. AG.
Lisa waiting for you.
Okay.
Michael, come on. Ladies. Deborah, come on. Okay, Deborah left. Sensei, come on.
Broken. Oh, what? George. I'm gonna leave it up there.
He's a boss bitch, and I can tell you this: the boss bitch is so unhappy with her life.
Yeah, I would
because
say that.
no man wants to marry her.
Dude, I mean, here's the thing, though. I can fuck a few times a day still. You know, I'm good to go. I can still, get a woman pregnant. Okay, I can't say that. If you're in your mid-40s or, I'm kind of in my early 40s still, but I know women, they can't say that. They just can't do that. But I'm the norm for somebody in their 40s, at least I would think.
Of course.
But these bitches are, their norm is they can't have kids. They ran through, they went past the prime of their lives. Now they get to...
Pepe, they expect you to pay full price for what everyone else got for free when they're 20.
For real. That is like the worst thing I think any man can experience from a woman. Because now imagine if you're in this relationship where this woman wants you to pay for everything just because her previous relationship had her man do this. And this is exactly what I'm talking about for women in general. Like, women nowadays, they don't have no autonomy. They don't know anything. Like, you can ask a woman how many books she read. She will tell you she don't know how many books she read. She'd sit there and say, maybe one book or something. But then after that, she can't even name more than 10 books. Stupid hoe. And now we have people in America who are even more dumb. We have the education system that is so fucking bad. People don't even know people don't even know what other countries are out there other than America. We have women nowadays who are more sluts than before. Back in probably the